First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my ex's money for our kid until I see a bill? I, 32 male, have 2 kids with my ex, 34 female, 7 female, and 5 female. When we broke up, I did not want to deal with court-ordered child support, so we agreed to an unofficial amount of financial compensation. However, my ex knew I didn't want to deal with the courts and used that as a veiled threat whenever she wanted something. Anytime I got something for myself or she heard about a new promotion at work, she demanded copies of my pay stubs for the last 3 months and wants half. If I objected, she would pull the, well, maybe we should just let a judge decide. After 2 years of this crap, I told her I simply could not afford to keep paying the amounts she wanted and afford rent/food. She thought I was lying, even though I showed her my pay stubs and filed for child support. My parents were kind enough to lend me money for a decent attorney so I'd have a decent change. But my God, I never would have thought that the courts would rule in my favor. Based off of my income, the courts determined that I had been overpaying for each child and ordered that I could pay a lesser amount, and that my ex couldn't request for more until my children were 9 and 7. It was almost determined that I wouldn't be legally obligated to start paying the new amount for 6 months. Literally, after the ruling, we were standing outside the doors of the courtroom. My ex and her attorney approached me and asked me to pay a higher amount. I shrugged and said that it would be best not to go against the judge's ruling and left. Finally, I was able to get my own place, nicer, still used, car and clothes. My ex has been calling and texting me for money, saying the kids needed this and that. I told her that I'll pay for the necessities when the kids were with me, but she needed to figure everything out herself for the time being. She raged at me and called me a deadbeat, and then started dragging me on social media. To defend myself, I made a post about how the courts ruled, and attached screenshots of her texts always using the threat of the courts to get her way. I then finally stated that I do want to provide for my children, so if there's anything that they need, to give me copies of the bills or an expense report, and I will look into paying for things directly. My ex and her family are saying that I'm the a-hole and controlling for wanting to know about her finances, but I don't see it as any different from how she treated me. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Most states don't require you to pay for anything outside child support, and half of uninsured health costs to the other parent. The court said what they said. The kids are on my health insurance, and that's one of the reasons why the judge lowered the child support. Not the a-hole. It was dumb not to go through the courts from day one for this very reason, since it gave her a reason to basically steal from you. It sounds like she was hustling you for child support and some under-the-table alimony, but the judge saw to it that you legally are only responsible for your children. As long as you take care of them, she has no leg to stand on. If she needs money for something child-related, she should have to provide documentation because she burned your trust down. So why wouldn't you question it? She's just mad her ATM suddenly has opinions and questions. Agreed. This post is exactly why I always encourage people to deal with child support and visitation through the court system. It protects both parties. Opie, you're not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. But why the hell did you go to the court before if she was asking that much? He seemed to think going to court would make the situation even worse for him. Hopefully this was a lesson, albeit an expensive one. Go to court day one to get things figured out legally. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing any more communication with a girl who's not my daughter? Years ago, in my early 20s, I was contacted by my ex from high school, telling me he had a daughter, Sarah, who was already 6 at the time. It was a pretty huge shock to me. I was still young, and had no idea how to be a father to a young kid. But I met her anyways. I know it was pretty dumb of me to have just taken my ex's word for it, but I genuinely thought Sarah was mine. I met Sarah a couple times a month for 4 months in order to get to know her. Even took her to Disneyland once. My brothers had known about her, but they were surprised when they found out I never asked for a paternity test. It didn't even occur to me until we had that talk. So right away, I told my ex I wanted a paternity test. And what do you know? Kid wasn't mine. That's when she confessed she knew who the father was, but he died when Sarah was a few months old, and she just wanted her daughter to have a dad. I stopped having contact right after, and told her to find another father figure for her daughter. Through the power of social media, Sarah, now 18, found me and initiated contact. At first, I had no idea who she was until she mentioned ex's name. As it turned out, my ex never told her the truth, only that I had to go, whatever that means. But Sarah's been trying to find me, I guess, and wanted us to have contact. I didn't want to be the one to tell Sarah, so I said speak with your mom about why I wasn't around. Ex finally told her, I guess, because Sarah messaged me again asking if we could meet. She said she knows I'm not her father, but I'm the only one she knows and would still like for us to have something between us. I told her it would be better if we didn't. Yes, I was in her life for a short period, but we are both strangers now. I have my own life with my own family, and she should focus on making her own family with people she cares about. Sarah was clearly not happy with it. She sent me more messages and tried to video call me. I told her we won't be having more contact and blocked her. A few days ago, I found out she contacted my other family on Facebook, my sisters and one of my brothers. They heard her side of this and are saying I'm being too hard on a kid. My sister says she may not be mine, but to her I am still the only father figure she had in her life, so why not continue being that for her? Feels so insane to me. I have a wife and a son. She's not my daughter. It's hard to see how not wanting any more contact between is something bad. I told my family they're free to take up the mantle if they want, but I won't have anything else to do with her. But their argument is she wants me as a father figure in her life, and that's why I'm being too heartless with her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. 4 months 12 years ago does not make you a father figure. Seems also likely that your ex has been spinning plenty of lies during her daughter's childhood. Seems that way. I have no idea why she would. What good could that have done to her daughter, making her think her dad walked out instead of saying I wasn't her father to begin with? Not the a-hole. Seems kinda crazy to me. It is said that her desperate search for fatherly connection will not stop, but will likely lead her down a dark path. My heart breaks for that girl. I have a feeling that those 4 months when Opie was her dad were her best childhood memories. That said, Opie is not the a-hole, and it's probably best to stay away from her. Not the a-hole. Her mother sounds like a nutcase by fabricating such a lie, and I personally would be delicate with her daughter. It sounds like the apple may not have fallen far from the tree. Not the a-hole. I don't think your family's doing her any favors by encouraging her illusions of being connected to you. I do have sympathy for her. Sounds like she spent her life believing you were her dad and can't let go of that emotional headspace. I hope she gets therapy to work through it. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for going to visit my ex's family with him and his girlfriend, even though his girlfriend asked me not to? I have a 10-month-old baby with my ex. In January, he asked me if I would be willing to go visit his family with him so his elderly grandparents could finally meet our son. My ex has been really helpful and flexible since our son was born, so I agreed, since I felt like I owed him. My ex got back with the ex-girlfriend he had before me when our son was 5 months. She found out my ex had asked me to come on the trip and messaged me to ask me to refuse. She said she wanted this trip to be just about them, and she needed the opportunity to mend her relationship with his family. I didn't know about her history with his family until we were already there, but even if I did, I wouldn't have been willing to risk the good co-parenting relationship we had for her. I ended up ignoring her messages and went on the trip. The trip was interesting. His family were very nice to me, but dismissive towards his girlfriend. When we got back, she sent me a long message asking me if I was happy about ruining her one shot at fixing things, and she accused me of trying to get back with my ex. I do feel bad because his family weren't very welcoming to her, and I feel like they used me/my son as a shield to avoid having to make an effort with her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She is the girlfriend. You are the mother of his child. If she wants to be anything more than the girlfriend, she will need to learn to fit in with your co-parenting and family dynamics. And let's be honest, if her relationship with his family is that bad, one trip was not going to fix it. That last line is exactly what I was thinking. Holy crap! I just found Opie's comment about why the family dislikes her, and you are definitely right that this trip was never going to fix it. Seriously, why he took the ex back is a mystery. According to his cousin, their family hosts a huge New Year's Eve party where they invite all of their friends, family and business colleagues. 2 years ago, she wanted to wear this grandmother's necklace to the party, and the family told her no since it was a gift from the grandfather on their wedding. So she stole it and turned up wearing it and caused a huge scene. He broke up with her after that. Between that theft and the texting behind her boyfriend's back, this chick sounds legit crazy as hell. Lol, why does this person even have your number? Text back, I have a child with X, and he wanted that child to meet his grandparents. If you wanted to cultivate a relationship with this family, you need to talk to him about arranging a private visit, instead of going behind his back to sabotage his plans to have his child meet his grandparents. Furthermore, if you don't want me to lecture you on how you should be behaving, you can go ahead and delete my number. Note, do not do this if you hate drama. I wouldn't text anything to her. I would just take screenshots of her texts and forward them to my ex without any comment from me. Just pictures. Girlfriend is the ex's problem. He should deal with her, not OP. It's not OP's job to put a leash on her. Not a-hole. Not a-hole. You put your son first, as it's your job too. Even though your son will not remember the trip, it was important to his family and you did the right thing. Co-parenting isn't easy, and maintaining that relationship is important for you and your son. Also, she should have told her boyfriend if she was uncomfortable. She shouldn't have put you on the spot by messaging you. That was between him and her, not you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to get my pregnant wife fruit snacks and demanding she do more chores? Alright Reddit, here we go. My 29 male, wife 27 female is 24 weeks pregnant, and so far it has been a fairly easy pregnancy, according to her and her doctor, not making assumptions of course. I've done my best to be a good husband. I work full-time, started doing all the chores, cooking/cleaning/pet care, and of course try my best to accommodate her cravings. She has been taking it easy and spends most of her day relaxing. She says she's never felt better. Being completely honest, I'm starting to get a little burnt out. I love my wife and want her to be comfortable while pregnant, but working full-time and doing 100% of the chores is very draining. I recently had 2 separate conversations asking if she would be willing to do 80-20 chore split instead, but both times she got offended. She says that it would stress her out and possibly harm the baby, which scared me. I don't want anything to happen to our baby. So of course, I did push it. Yesterday morning, 2 a.m., my wife woke me up and asked me if I could go to the store for fruit snacks. She was craving them badly. I have made many late nights runs, but this week has been so stressful for me. I worked overtime the entire weekend and a deadline is approaching. I told her I was sorry, but I really needed to rest. I was exhausted. She did not like this answer. First, she tried to beg more, but I kept saying no. This went on for half an hour. Then she started crying, telling me what a horrible husband I was being. She also said she's scared to see me as a father if this is how selfish I am. I snapped at her. I told her I've been taking care of 100% of the responsibilities for the past 6 months. She's been sitting on her phone every single day and hasn't had to lift a finger. Then I said I was done doing 100% of the chores, and we needed a more even split because I was losing hair from stress. I will admit I had a tone and was obviously irritated. This caused her to cry more, and she kicked me out to the couch. This has caused a huge rift between us. She was pissed at me the entire day and locked me out of the bedroom tonight. My mother-in-law has texted me to call me an a-hole. They both said the stress I am putting on my wife will hurt the baby, so now I feel super guilty. I need perspective. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Most women literally hold on to their full-time jobs 6 months into their pregnancy and beyond. Why is she not even capable of doing light housework? The fact that she pulled it would harm the baby out of nowhere and being asked to take on even the smallest of responsibility is so manipulative. Her saying you not bending to her whims makes you a bad father was totally out of line too. Never forget, you are both the child's parents. You get to evaluate her as a mother and a spouse as much as she does you. What does her current behavior say about what kind of mother and partner she is? Edited to add, OP, I hope you are seeing the literal dozens and dozens of mothers who replied to this comment, sharing their stories of higher risk pregnancies, more hectic home situations, and more demanding jobs than your wife, who continued to work and contribute to their households throughout their pregnancies with no adverse effects, all the way up to the month/week of labor. This is what a loving and respectful marriage should look like. I am honestly a bit afraid of how she will act when our baby is born. I can't do 100% of the childcare, 100% of the chores, and bring in 100% of the income. She has acted this way before, but usually we're able to talk it out and she will start doing her share again. Now she's just outright refusing and getting angry. Your wife is not being fair. I am also pregnant and I had a really bad start. HG, several hospital visits. If you Google pregnant HG, you'll get the gist. I've since mostly recovered, and I'm a bit further along than your wife. I do the weekly shopping and only leave the bag lifting to my husband. Heavy lifting can be harmful. I painted the baby room. I cook. I am cleaning the house. I work full-time. If my body tells me to rest, I rest, but I do not take advantage of my husband. If I crave avocados, I go to the store and get avocados. If I crave stuff at night, I ignore it and I do not wake up my husband. My husband will do anything for me, and he did so in the 2 months I was severely ill. I didn't need to lift a finger, and he was also scrubbing my back in the shower to make me feel better. He is the most dedicated man I know, which is just one of the reasons I would never take advantage of his love and generosity. OP, you really need to sit your wife down. Well, she probably already is sitting down, and have a real good conversation about what is acceptable and what is not, and how you expect things to go once the baby is born. Right after the birth, she'll need more help, of course, since her body is recovering, but that doesn't mean you should be the only one doing the diapers. It sounds like getting pregnant was a mutual decision. She needs to mature very quickly now because she took on a huge responsibility, and that needs to be shared equally, not at a-hole. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for refusing to offer emotional support to my ex-fiance's daughter? I, 34 male, met my ex-fiance 6 years ago. I was 28 and she was 36. My ex had a daughter, Kayla, who was 18 around the time we started dating, only didn't meet her until a year later. She disapproved, and I get why, given that I was only 10 years older than her. Obviously, I didn't want the stepfather role, and I made sure she knew that. Just wanted us to acknowledge each other as two people who love her mom very much, and to respect one another. Kayla still hated my guts, and she never held back giving me attitude, or even calling her mom a cougar. My ex told me her daughter was in therapy, and never liked anyone she dated since she and her ex-husband divorced when Kayla was 7. Things never improved. My ex and I eventually moved in with each other to a new apartment. She insisted on Kayla also moving in with us since she was in college and didn't want her to spend so much on rent. I had no problem with that. Still, Kayla never respected me as her mom's partner. Sometimes things of mine would go missing or I'd find them destroyed. Like a new watch my ex got me for my birthday. She threw a literal fit when we got engaged. The morning after, my car got keyed, and I could only guess who it was since the place we lived had a private garage only we had access to. This just caused too many conflicts between my fiancé and I, since she wouldn't do anything to put Kayla in line. We broke things off 3 years ago and went about my life. It hurt, but in the end, it became too much. I found out on Facebook that my ex-fiancé passed from COVID 9 months ago. Now Kayla wants to get in touch for us to meet. She sent an apology message last month and she's asking for us to meet up for coffee. Kayla says she wants us to become friends since I was so close to her mom too, and would like that help with what she's dealing with. I thanked her for her apology, but said I don't have an interest in us meeting up. I closed that chapter in my life for a reason, and it would be better to leave this in the past. I'm glad she's apologized and acknowledged what she did, but she can understand why I don't want her in my life anymore. For a while, Kayla messaged me a few times, but I stopped replying after giving my final answer. Then, my ex's mom also messaged me because Kayla is upset and asked her to talk to me. I gave the same answer, which made her very mad. She says Kayla is a child who needs comfort, and she can't believe I'm going to turn my back on her. The lady can't give Kayla the same comfort because she lives in a different country. And I'm the closest thing Kayla has to my ex since I'm so much closer and we can actually meet up regularly. I haven't replied to either of their messages, but I still read them when they come in. I want to remain firm in keeping Kayla out of my life after everything. But given that she lost her mom, am I being an a-hole because I don't want to give her the support? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. If Kayla was 18 years old 6 years ago, that means she's 24 years old now and not a child. She has no relationship to you, and you don't owe her anything. It's nice you accepted her apology. It was more than you had to do. You would be justified if you blocked her and her grandmother. I don't believe that Kayla's even after emotional support. I think she's planning to hit Opie up for money. It's the only reason people who have been nasty to you for years suddenly get in touch. She can never fully apologize for repeatedly ruining her late mother's chance at happiness with a new partner. Had her mother still been with Opie in a different living environment, she may still even be alive. Block her, Opie. Not a-hole. You had no real relationship with Kayla. It makes no sense that she would want emotional support from you. It's far more likely that she wants something else. Money, a free place to live, than that she wants emotional support from someone she never had a good relationship with and whose belongings she vandalized. Surprised this is the only comment saying this? I mean, it absolutely sucks losing a parent, especially in your early/mid-20s. But it sounds like she thoroughly hated Opie and was doing childish things to Opie as an adult in early 20s. When you're 21, you know damaging people's property is an illegal and crappy thing to do. I highly doubt this is purely a call for emotional help. I can almost guarantee this Kayla will be asking for financial support, place to live, etc., hoping Opie will step in as some sort of pseudo-parent, since it's the closest thing she has. Not an a-hole. This child is now in her 20s, and both she and her grandmother are asking far too much of you. It may seem harsh, but I would block them both for contacting you further. Not an a-hole. If she needs help, she can get a therapist. There are tons of qualified professionals that can help her, and it's not your responsibility to reopen those wounds to help a child. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for getting my own streaming services? My boyfriend, 28 male, has given our streaming service passwords to several of his friends. Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, Disney Plus, etc. If you're someone who shares a streaming service with several people, you're probably aware that there's a cap on how many people can stream at once. Since our streaming services are being shared with so many people, he doesn't remember how many people and which of his friends he shared it with. It's very difficult to watch anything since there's always multiple people at any given time. Whenever we try to watch a show or movie together and we can't proceed because of limitations, he'll excuse it by saying, "We'll just try later when they're not watching." The issue is someone is always watching, lol. My patience began to wear thin, so I told my boyfriend, "I don't mean to be nasty, but your friends are being freeloaders. They have jobs, and if they want to use HBO Max, they can pay for their own subscription. It's really hard to watch anything I or we want to watch with so many people." He told me I'm being selfish, and that since he pays for it, he can share it with whoever he wants to. So I subscribed to a few services on my personal devices and paid for them. I was watching a show that I had been dying to watch on my laptop, and my boyfriend asked if I wanted to watch something with him. I said, "No thanks, I've been dying to catch up on this." He then said, "See? Just be patient. Not everyone is watching all the time." I said, "Oh, actually, I made my own account." He got offended because he said he already pays for subscription services, so I'm just wasting my money and being childish. Not a a-hole. Tell him you can do what you want with your money. Since he's not interested in giving you a say in the streaming services, you're allowed to get your own. Major not a a-hole. Because I pay for the streaming devices at home and my brother gave out the password to several of his friends and I would never be able to watch anything, so I just canceled the subscription and told him I'll no longer be subscribed and made a new account for myself. You could have just changed the password and logged out all of the other devices. I know some streaming services allow that. Maybe remind him that he is just your boyfriend and in no way has control of your finances. You also don't have to consult with him before you make decisions concerning your finances. Exactly. Plus, streaming services aren't crazy expensive. It's not like she's spending thousands of dollars on something useless. Definitely not an a-hole. He seems to be prioritizing the wants of his friends. He's not prioritizing you and the time you spent together. And he's calling you childish? Red flag. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to allow my child to stay overnight at her father's home? I'll start by saying that the issues with this man run very deep, and I'd be here all day if I was to tell you the whole story. So for this post, I just want an opinion on this particular issue. I, late 30s female, am a single mom to my daughter age 4. Her father, early 30s male, abandoned us as soon as he found out I was pregnant, and then changed his mind just before she was born. He has caused untold hell since that moment, but that's info for another post. My daughter has never stayed over at his house. He rents a tiny studio. He recently has said he may move to a house and then he'd like her to start staying over. I have refused on the following grounds. 1. He smokes grass. He smells. His home smells. She smells and her clothes and shoes smell when she comes home from a day there. I have mentioned this several times and it has got slightly better, but he still smokes it, and I'm not happy for her to stay in a home where there are Ds. Plus, I do not know who he gets it from or if it gets dropped off to him, etc. Now, I know it's not like it's meth, but I'm still not happy to have her around it, and it's been very upsetting to have her come back to me smelling of it. I have told him he will have to give it up before I let her stay over. He wouldn't smoke it when she was there, that I know. 2. The incident. When she was 2, nearly 3, I went out for the evening and he stayed at mine to watch her until I got home at 11 p.m, at which point he would leave. I live on the 4th floor of an apartment building. When I came home, up in the lift, the doors opened, and there he was, in the communal hallway about to take the lift down to the ground floor to his car, leaving a 2-year-old asleep in my home. He claims he was only popping down to the car. It's not an issue and she was asleep, so what's the big deal? I said that not only could he have been involved in an accident or something, but my main concern was as a 2-year-old she often wakes in the night. If she had woken up and been unable to find an adult in her home, she would have been absolutely traumatized. He also left the front door unlocked and she could have gone looking for him. He says that he did not go down to his car, because I came out of the lift before he managed to get any further, so technically he didn't leave her. Obviously my main point is that he intended to and got caught. This argument goes round in circles. So therefore, I have refused to allow him to have her overnight as he cannot be trusted. He says I'm being over the top and dredging up the past. I say I'm a good mom and I won't have my girl in any danger whatsoever. There is a lot more detail I can elaborate if asked. But Reddit, am I the a-hole for not allowing overnight stays? Not the a-hole. But you all 3 need a legal custody arrangement yesterday. This issue isn't going anywhere. Not legal advice here, but chances are he'd get at least some overnight visitation, with rules, if you did so. So it's time to set expectations at a reasonable level to ensure safety, like no smoking while she's present, no leaving the house while she's present unless there's another approved adult in the house. These are totally reasonable. I wouldn't be so sure about him getting any overnights with a child coming home from visits smelling like D's. So you're asking if you're the a-hole for not allowing your kid to stay the night with someone who does smoke and seems completely irresponsible basically? The answer is no, you aren't. Not the a-hole. He's never taken them when with her. His whole home stinks because he's dirty and messy and doesn't wash things properly, so the smell just lingers in all the furniture, etc. If CPS were to visit his home, would they find issue with it? Not the a-hole for trying to keep your daughter safe. To be totally honest, they have bigger fish to fry. I mean, they'd smell, and maybe if they looked, they'd find it. I have no idea where he keeps it. They'd see it's pretty dirty, but I don't think they'd have anything else to report. Thank you. Not the a-hole. First, dude proved himself irresponsible when he disappeared from the relationship the second a pregnancy happened. The fact that he got remorseful and came back doesn't, in my mind, change that much. Secondly, the smoking thing doesn't bother me that much, as long as he doesn't get wasted while the kid is there, and if it's legal. If it's not, that's a whole different thing. Third, leaving a small child home alone, even if it was just to go down to his car, is an irresponsible act. Not irredeemably irresponsible, just definitely not smart. But it's the sort of thing that you might not really think about when having a kid around is relatively new to you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for insisting my wife stop sleeping with her makeup on? Hear me out, please. My male 33, wife female 27, was unemployed since 2019. She was down on her luck with getting a job, and 2020 made it a whole lot worse. But her new friend got her a job at a beauty salon. And I'm very happy for her and very proud because she got dealt a crappy hand in those nearly 3 years without income. Also, she developed awesome makeup artist skills. She practices a lot on her own face to come up with her own ideas, and she already has few customers that like her work. She works in the afternoon till 9 p.m., gets home, eats dinner, then goes straight to bed. Usually before I do because I go to bed at 12. So what my wife does is go to bed with her full makeup on, leaving stains on both pillows because she always tends to sleep on different sides on the bed. Why it bothers me is because of the stains and also the strong smell of the products. I talked to her about it and she took it as I was against her wearing makeup, saying she needed to look good herself to get customers to want her service. I just pointed out that the stains she was leaving in both pillows were not cool, and since I ended up doing the cleaning because she said she was too tired to remove her makeup before going to bed. Last night, she finished eating dinner and wanted to go to bed. I asked her if she was going to bed with her makeup on, and she stood there saying yes. I informed her that I already cleaned the pillows and asked her to clean up before going to bed. She threw a fit and gave a long rant about how long and hard she works trying to provide for us, and that I was being overdramatic and paying attention to stupid little things. She wanted to just go inside a bedroom, but I stopped her and insisted she removes her makeup first. She blew up at me and called me an a-hole for not letting her sleep and rest after being on her feet all day. She grabbed a blanket and went to sleep on the couch, and she was so mad I had to go outside to cool off a bit. This morning she went to radio silence, but kept giving me bitter looks, then tested me hours ago to say she was spending the night at a friend's place since I was going to make her sleep on the couch tonight as well. I don't get it. I could have been a major a-hole for causing to sleep on the couch, but I was getting tired of having to clean the pillows every day, and that's not an exaggeration. Am I the a-hole for insisting my wife to stop sleeping with her makeup on? Not the a-hole. Leaving her makeup on overnight is terrible for her skin. And at the very, very least, she could put a towel over her pillow. But yeah, she's going to ruin her skin, and I wear makeup regularly, so I'm not anti-makeup. I'm pro look after the canvas. I'm pro makeup, but you have to take it off before bed and have a good skincare routine. I can't even imagine how bad her skin must look under all that makeup. Wonder if the issue is it's so bad she doesn't want her husband to see her without it. Plus, it takes what, like 5 minutes at most to take makeup off? She could just use a makeup remover wipe and a quick rinse, since she obviously either has Teflon skin or doesn't give a crap about it. It takes less time than brushing her teeth, so it's not some major barrier to getting to sleep. This whole thing is super weird. Not the a-hole. Is your wife a child? She can learn to wash her face rather than put her energy into a temper tantrum. Leaving makeup on 24/7 is terrible for her skin too. That should get her attention. But you know, even if it weren't just the stains that you have to clean up, you told her the smell bothers you in bed, and she doesn't seem to care. That's incredibly inconsiderate. She shouldn't sleep on the couch, as that's even harder to get makeup out off, by the way. Ooh, I hate makeup smell, not gonna lie. Don't know how Opie sleeps on pillows with the smell all over. Not the a-hole. There are wipes she can get for this. It takes just seconds to remove your makeup with them. Am I the a-hole for my reaction after my fiancé sent our wedding invitations without my consent? I, male 30, met my now fiancé, female 28, 3 years ago. She was previously engaged to her late fiancé, passed away 3 weeks before the wedding unexpectedly. He had a good relationship with her family, and they bring him up from time to time, but not much. Surprisingly, I know nothing about this guy. My fiancé never talks about him for some reason, although I always encourage her to remember good happy moments. She'd go radio silent whenever her family mentioned him. Anyways, we didn't have any issues until my fiancé and I started planning for our wedding. She suggested a specific date, and I had several reasons to not agree. One of them is that my mom is recovering from a major surgery, and since she's my remaining family, I want her there with me. My fiance kept insisting and refused to compromise. I took a few days to calm down so we can discuss this again. But I was surprised when Justin, my brother-in-law, contacted me saying his sister has been sending out invitations with the date she picked, and almost everyone in her family received one. He then told me the reason his sister insisted on this specific date is because this was the exact date she and her late fiancé were going to get married, but it didn't happen. I was stunned. That was a messed up discovery. What's worse is that her entire family knows and none of them mentioned it. Yep, even more messed up. I never knew about that, although we had plenty of heart-to-heart together. I was upset I confronted her. She defended herself, saying she didn't think it'd matter if I knew this is the date when she and her late fiancé were getting married. I said it matters to me, and she shouldn't send out invitations without even telling me. Told her to fix it since it's her family who got the invitations. But she said I was being unreasonable, that she too gets a say as much as I do. That she already went ahead and made reservations on that date. I argued that I was backing out of wedding planning since she keeps insisting on that specific date. I ended up sending everyone who received an invitation an email stating that the wedding is officially postponed. I didn't give the real reason why, but I did apologize. She let everyone know, and everyone except Justin has been criticizing my stance, calling me ridiculous and inconsiderate to postpone for a pathetic reason like that. Some even claimed I was being a goddamn groomzilla for not just going with the flow. It didn't feel right. I kept thinking about how our wedding anniversary will be a constant reminder for my fiancé about her late fiancé for years to come if I give in and agree on this date. I subconsciously hated it. Now for the top comments. I'm sorry, but that is pretty low on her part. She isn't seeing you or marrying you. She is marrying a ghost. Run, you are not Dayhall. Not Dayhall. Cancel the wedding. She's simply awful. And don't make it about the fact that it's her wedding date with her ex. Simply repeat to anyone who asks that she disregarded your wishes to pick a date your mother could attend and sent out the invitations anyway. You don't get to treat someone like that. She doesn't deserve a life partner at this stage. Not Dayhall, and the wedding needs to be cancelled, not just postponed. Never marry someone who sends out wedding invitations without clearing it with you first, especially when you had already specifically told her that the date was a no. Not Dayhall. Would not proceed with this marriage without premarital counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling at that stage, but clearly your fiancé is still grieving and having an open issues is no way to start a marriage. Honestly, if the date means that much to her, I suggest you push it back a year. Your mom matters to you. Not Dayhall. I don't think I'd go through with this marriage. This sounds like she's pushing for some personal agenda. Either way, she blatantly disregarded your opinion and thoughts on your wedding. You know, the thing that you should be doing together? Major red flag. Not Dayhall. It sounds like your fiancé hasn't grieved properly for her dead fiancé and isn't ready to move on. She's using you as a fill-in. Postpone getting married until she gets some much-needed therapy. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to be a stepmother to my fiancé's children? Before I met my fiancé, Cam, he and Monica had 2 children, aged 2 and 4 now. They were already broken up when the youngest child was conceived. One last hookup got them pregnant again. Monica remarried very quickly to Alan, and they tried to have Cam's parental rights terminated so that Alan could adopt the kids. Monica's parents and Alan's parents, who are both wealthy, all joined forces on this. They were not able to get Cam's parental rights terminated, but Cam was not able to get much custody. He got the standard every other weekend and 2 weeks in summer, but they have all done anything they can to interfere with his custody time, so he's gotten a lot less than that. Cam and I have been together for 2 years, but I've only met his kids a handful of times. I have an extremely demanding career that's very important to me, and weekends are the only time I have for myself. Cam knows that with my career, I don't have time or energy for parenting. I was happy to be another caring adult figure in his kids' lives, like a cousin or aunt role, but I can't be another parent. Cam asked me to marry him and said he understood that I'd never have to take that role. Yes, here and there, if he really needed a helping hand occasionally, that was fine, But neither of us ever planned for him to rely on me for childcare regularly. Monica and Alan got in an accident where both were drunk. Monica died instantly and Alan was severely injured. Alan has been in rehab and Cam has had the kids. Since then, all 4 of those grandparents basically dropped off the face of the earth. They show no desire to have anything to do with the kids or help whatsoever. We also haven't been getting any calls from Alan even as he heals. I have been helping Cam to the best of my ability, and what's crystal clear is that I can't do this. All of my reasons for not wanting to be a parent turned out to be extremely true. I have been helping him because of course I have, but I can't do it forever. I have been telling Cam that we need to call off the wedding because I can't be a parent. I will help him get his feet under him, but I cannot be a parent and commit to it for life. Cam has not accepted this whatsoever. Half the time, he spends guilt-tripping me about how these kids need me and even encouraging the 2-year-old to call me mommy, which I think is horrible of Cam to do. The other half the time, he spends sobbing and begging me about how he can't lose me, how he'll figure it out. He'll find help so that I don't need to be in a parent role. I don't see how that would possibly work, and I told him we need to break up and he could find someone that wanted to be a parent. Now, my entire family is attacking me and calling me heartless and telling me we can work it out. I asked them if they thought it was okay if I married him but didn't take a parent role. They said of course not. I should just suck it up and be a parent. I was going to say you're the a-hole until I saw that you were asking to call off the wedding, which is the right thing to do. And you should have never agreed to marry a man with young children if you weren't interested in being a parent. So I guess not the a-hole since you're calling off the wedding. But seriously, OP, please don't date other men with children. Yes, this was just unexpected because all 4 of those grandparents literally spent tens of thousands of dollars to get his custody taken away. Every indication would be if something happened to Monica, they would all fight for grandparents' rights in custody, not fall off the face of the earth. But now that the situation has become very real, I won't make the same mistake again. You are not an a-hole for leaving him. You are an a-hole for staying with a man who has kids for 2 years and thinking you can be child-free. They are a package deal, no matter how little he asked them. As you learned, things can change in an instant. Not the a-hole. Though a little everyone sucks here, the kids aren't optional, and you were both dreaming to think that this would ever work that way. But you are not the a-hole for figuring it out and stepping away. You're right to walk away. I agree walking away would be the right choice. Opie says she's been with partner for 2 years, and the child of the last hurrah with ex-wife is 2 years old. She indicates ex-wife moved on very fast, but clearly partner did too. The whole family sounds like a lot of complex and unstable relationships surrounding the kids, and her not wanting kids is not likely to do favors for anyone involved. Yes, Cam and I have actually known each other for many, many years, so we did move fast, but we've also known each other a really long time. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my father's wives into my life? So, my father has always been manipulative and horrible to me and my mom. I will not go into detail because the post would get removed. When I was 10, he left us for a mistress of many years, and my mom completely broke down. Finding out that she had sacrificed all her dreams for this bastard just broke her. The result is a sense of denial. She cannot accept that he is a bad person, and 15 years later still loves him. My dad sometimes used it to manipulate her financially. Even though we do not have a traditional mom-daughter relationship, we are good friends. My mom is now a very supportive and a good person who is very close to both me, my husband, and my in-laws, and I am grateful to have this family now. But to go back, since Dad left, I said I would never agree to meet his mistress. My mom got the sole custody, and though my dad tried to force me, I just refused to communicate with his wife. He only got me twice a month for an evening out, movies, so it is not like I was spending weekends at their place causing drama. My father got kicked out by her a couple of years later, and promptly found another woman. Married her weeks after meeting her. Smart guy. I didn't go to the wedding, and the lady is extremely abrasive. I have met her once, and she refused to shake my hand and was generally very rude. From her Facebook posts, which my father shares, she's a very insufferable extremist with whom I do not want to associate. Here I might really be the a-hole. Now it is my father who keeps trying to have a relationship. I would have gone no contact if he didn't keep trying because when in the past, I let him get closer to me. He'd hurt me or my mom again. He does seem to have grown a lot. and completely changed his lifestyle and really wants to make amends. Now I am almost 9 months pregnant with mine and hubby's first kid. It is also my father's first grandchild. He has been calling and trying to fix things ever since he found out. The last time he called, he talked about grandma and grandpa with his wife, and I told him no. I will be okay in letting him have limited contact with the baby, but I will not let his new wife be grandma. My mom and my mother-in-law will be grandmas. He lost it and screamed at me that I have caused his previous marriage to fail because I would not accept his wife, that I'm again trying to ruin his life. I told him I will not risk damaging relationships when for the first time in my life I have a functioning supportive family. That I was never his priority, and therefore he is not my priority over people who actually care. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to allow my father's wives into my life? Not the a-hole. I have to wonder how much he's changed if he's currently blaming his failed marriage on you. Good question, but from how things were, he actually has. He stopped being a workaholic and a borderline alcoholic. He is much less aggressive now, etc. It used to be bad. When I was 6, I said that I'm afraid of 3 things: vampires, monsters, and daddy. OP, not being so bad doesn't mean that it's good. Not the a-hole. People do not change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. Oh, I love this quote. Thank you. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you already know this, but here for reinforcement. You're absolutely in the right to keep anyone you feel is toxic away from your child. And bad taste in who you marry and trying to drag them into your daughter's life against their will definitely counts as toxic. I think you are safer staying no contact. I was seriously getting some doubts, especially seeing the amount of blended families and people get along with their parents' new partners. Thanks, I needed this. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my boyfriend's little sister to use every single one of my things? For context, my fiancé and I have moved into his mom's house to help save for our new home at his mother's request. He has a 7-year-old sister, and we are both mid-20s. Our room does not have a lock, and I keep all my things in our room because there isn't any more space in the shared bathroom. It started with using my phone for TikTok or whatever. In the beginning, I did not care, but I realized she was going through my messages, emails, social accounts, pictures, documents, etc. for whatever reason. She ended up deleting and rearranging a whole bunch of apps on my home screen, and that was the final straw, so she's no longer allowed on my phone anymore. I have an iPad that I used to do my work on, and she has been bombarding me asking if she can use it, and I've told her many times she cannot. She has complained to my fiancé and her mom about the situation, and while they don't say anything to me, I can tell they want me to let her use it so she shuts up about it. Before I moved in with them, I was doing nails out of my home and brought my things so I could continue doing press-ons, as well as my own and my mother-in-law's nails from time to time. I told his little sister not to touch any of my professional nail stuff for obvious reasons, and that if she ever wanted her nails done, I would paint them myself. I have since walked in on her going through my nail supplies and using my polishes. Gel polish that you need to cure, which she does not cure because she doesn't know how it works. She is also making a stink about me putting acrylics on her year-old, but I said no. 1, because of her rage, and 2, because I'm not going to perform an entire nail service on a person who is not paying for my work, let alone fully appreciate it. If that sounds harsh, I don't even care because acrylics are a process. Now it's everything else. Jewelry, makeup, skincare. She goes through my clothes. She moves my things around even if she's not moving or using things. She's opening drawers and going through my belongings. I come home after work to go to bed, and she's in my bed watching while eating snacks when there's a TV in the living room and her mom's room. When I come into my room after a shower to change, she walks right in. When I am in my room wanting some time to myself, she comes in and sits there and won't be quiet. I'm losing my mind. I'm trying to be stern without crossing the boundary of disciplining someone else's child, but I really can't handle it. Nothing bothers me more than someone using my things without asking or just invading my space in general. My fiancé won't help me set boundaries. He doesn't care if she's in the room when he changes, and she doesn't care for any of his things. I just want to know if I'm being irrational, or if I have every reason to take my stuff and go. Thanks. Not the a-hole. If a lock isn't approved by your mother-in-law, I'd suggest at least getting a big safety lock box to put your nail equipment and valuables into. Your boyfriend not addressing this problem is definitely a concern though. So I think his lack of support towards protecting your personal belongings and valuables needs to be addressed as well. I agree. He doesn't see a problem with his sister's behavior? Red flag. Also, he isn't being your advocate like he should be. There are definitely several conversations that need to be had before you even begin to discuss wedding dates. Not a-hole. You need a lock on the door and some kind of lockable space for your supplies. It's not unreasonable at all to want your privacy or your stuff to be left alone. You need the fiancé to pull his finger out and help you set your boundaries. Looking into locks as we speak. Thank you. Yes, a lock isn't just a temporary solution. If you plan to marry this guy, you need to talk to him and he needs to do something. For Pete's sake, he's not having any care for you and your stuff. Am I the a-hole for calling my fiancé lazy for wanting to be a stay-at-home wife? I'm 42 male, am engaged to who I feel is the one, 33 female. We had been dating for just over 3 years and I proposed last month. Last night, after another session of wedding planning, my fiancé asked if I would be alright with her being a stay-at-home wife. At first I laughed because I thought she was joking, but she was being very serious. She told me not to laugh and said she wants to be a stay-at-home wife. I asked her why, as we both make pretty good money at our jobs, and we can't afford our current lifestyle with just one income. She says it's because I make a lot more than her, which is true as I make about 40% more, and that we could scale back our lifestyle. And then said it's been on my mind a lot, and I think working 9 to 5 just isn't for me. I asked her if she was being serious, and she confirmed that she is. I said that I'm not comfortable with that idea, and said maybe if we have kids, she could be a stay-at-home mom. But I'm not cool with her being a stay-at-home wife. But she said that I was being manipulative, since we're both child-free. But I just said that as a hypothetical, since I'm not at all okay with being the sole breadwinner. That devolved into a pretty heated argument, with her saying that I should support her dreams. But she never stated what she wants to do with her staying at home, even though I did ask. So this is where maybe the a-hole. In the heat of the moment, I said, "Where's this coming from? Why is it your dream to be a stay-at-home wife? Is it your dream to be lazy?" She got really upset at that and had gone to her mother's and said, "We'll talk more when you come down." I'll be real here. I don't want her to be a stay-at-home wife. I'm not okay with being the sole breadwinner, and I do not wish to support this dream. I want a partner in life, not a dependent doing nothing productive with her days. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. So she waits until you propose and she thinks she has you wrapped around her fingers to tell you her dream of being lazy and then has the nerve to say that you're the manipulative one? Jesus. That's a very good point. Up until I proposed to her, she was just filled with so much ambition, and that's one of the reasons I fell in love in the first place. Feels like it came out of left field, her sudden desire not to work. Oh man, I feel genuinely bad for you. I'm wondering, what are her friends' jobs? Like, does she surround herself with people that might have the same mindset when it comes to not working? All her friends and our mutual friends are all pretty ambitious people. Even the stay-at-home moms are very driven in terms of child rearing. This is very simple. Are you prepared to lower your standard of living solely to support her financially? Are you prepared to grind 5 days a week for the next 20 plus years at a job while she does whatever she wants to do? Personally, I'd say when you ask her what her dreams are and she dodged the question, she told you everything you need to know. Lol, support her dreams. If my husband had a dream to go back to college, I would support that. If he had a dream to start his own business in an area he was passionate about, I would support that. But if he had a dream to sit on his butt and play video games / be a stay-at-home husband, he would soon be supporting my dream to be divorced. It sounds like you and your fiancé have very different values in life. Not stay home. This all day. I've taken a few months to myself between jobs in the past. It doesn't take much time or effort to shop and clean for a household containing just 2 able-bodied adults. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my fiancé to dictate what my mom wears to our wedding? My fiancé and I are both Indian. Her family has been in the US for a couple generations, and I was born in India but came here at 6 years old and don't remember much of it. My mom hates India. It hates being Indian due to a lot of trauma she faced, such as being married off very young, being treated badly for being a girl, being slightly darker skinned than her sister, and then being trapped in a very unhealthy marriage. My mom left my dad a couple years after we came to the US and was shamed by her family. She now totally denies being Indian and wants nothing to do with it. We are having a big, mostly traditional Indian wedding, which my mom is cool with, but my mom wants to wear an evening gown and not a sari. But my fiancé wants all of the family in traditional Indian attire, and this has turned into a huge fight and neither of them are backing down. My fiancé feels that my mom is going to stand out, and that she is being disrespectful but not going along with our wishes for one day. My mom feels that my fiancé is being controlling and invalidating her feelings about her identity. Then my mom's husband got involved, and got into it with my future mother-in-law, and now everything is a mess. My mom showed me some of the dresses she's looking at, and none of them are attention-seeking or anything crazy. So I put my foot down with my fiancé and said she can't force my mom to wear a sari. My fiancé and future mother-in-law think I'm being an a-hole, but my mom is grateful and even said she can wear red, traditional Indian color, if my fiancé is so worried about her standing out. I thought that was a good compromise, but my fiancé feels I'm being as spineless as mama's boy. Not the a-hole. I'd go so far as to say, sorry, but not sorry. Not the a-hole. I'm usually in the camp of supporting your wife over your mother, but it seems your wife is being callous for no good reason. Is she this self-centered and selfish in other ways? This would be a situation I'd be taking a step back from, to see if this is even a woman you want to marry after this. Not the a-hole. Your mother is likely already putting on a strong face to watch her son be married surrounded by a cultural aesthetic that reminds her of past trauma. I can't imagine someone I love not recognizing that strength, instead of trying to drape that trauma on them. I would keep asking your fiancé why your mother's mental health means so little to her. Please continue to stand up for your mother. Bridal entitlement and lack of empathy hurts my brain. Not the a-hole. Your fiancé isn't marrying herself, so she doesn't get to make all the decisions alone. Hopping onto the back of this comment, I would see this as a big red flag. If she can't compromise on one measly dress, which her mother was even willing to look like a traditional sari/dress, then who knows what she can't compromise on. I don't want to be the one to say it, but maybe it may not be your healthiest decision. Edit. Well, I spent all day reading through some very thorough and insightful comments and talking to my fiancé, and the wedding is off. Thanks everyone for taking the time to read and respond. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for kicking my boyfriend out over my cat? For context, my 24 female boyfriend 30 male and I recently moved in together. It's something we've been talking about, and when his lease ended, he moved into my apartment. I have a cat, Millie, who is my baby girl that I've had since she was a kitten. Back when my boyfriend and I first started dating, he made a joke that if we were ever going to live together, he'd have to get rid of that cat, which I dismissed at the time. When he would come over, he would ignore Millie, making jokes about how cats are stuck up, how much she's a dog person. Again, I dismissed this, because I never acted hostile towards her, and I figured it was just a preference. When we started to get serious about moving in, he asked if I would consider giving her away because he didn't like the idea of living with a cat. He almost laughed before realizing he was serious. I told him that under no circumstances would I get rid of my cat. I felt guilty about being unwilling to compromise, but he actually took it well, and reassured me that if she was this important to me, he'd get over it. Fast forward to last night. I don't think he realized I was in the kitchen when he came home. Millie was on a couch, and I heard him go into the room and give this sigh. But before I could call out, I heard him say, "You're so freaking worthless." It terrified me because I've never heard him speak with such malice. He sounded like a different person. It was just so cold and hostile that I panicked and rushed out there to see him looking at Millie. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I completely freaked out. I was yelling, asking what he thought was doing talking to her like that. He jumped, and I scooped Millie up and told him to leave my apartment right now. He looked so stunned and started to argue, asking where was he supposed to go. I told him that I don't care. He just needs to leave. He was pissed and said he was going for a drive and slammed the door behind him. I immediately started sobbing and holding Millie. I was shaking, and she could tell I was upset and kept cuddling me. She calmed me down, and later when he texted asking if he could come back, I said yes. I put Millie in the bedroom so we could talk. We were both a lot calmer, and I felt awful after we explained aside. I'll often call Millie little names, and he said he was just trying to be playfully mean too and misjudged his tone. But he said it felt awful that I chose a cat over him, and that I called it my apartment when it's supposed to be our place. He told me he was constantly feeling second best to Millie, who I wouldn't even consider rehoming, and I had thrown him out over an animal when he's a person. I explained to him how much he means to me, and apologized for ever making him feel like this wasn't his home. I think I might have overreacted, but I just don't know. He's my boyfriend, and she's something I kept refusing to compromise on. But I also don't believe that he just misjudged his tone. Am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole, and he's lying now. Don't let him gaslight you. Your cat is going to go missing someday. This. If for some reason you do continue this, make sure you have plenty of photographs of her and you as proof that she's yours, and that she's microchipped because she will end up on the streets or dropped off at a shelter. Not an a-hole. Rehome your a-hole boyfriend. You shouldn't have dismissed those earlier jokes. On a first date, you should have said something like, all jokes aside, I would never get rid of my cat. I call BS on the worthless comment being his attempt at being playful. He is just making up excuses because you caught him. Agreed. He got caught and came up with a BS excuse. Ditch him before the cat goes missing or worse. Not an a-hole. The way a person talks about an animal or treats an animal is a good indication of the type of person they are. After all the talk about wanting to get rid of her, I could never trust him alone with her. How do I know he won't poison her, physically hurt her, or dump on the side of the road? If it was my boyfriend, he would be gone. Flat out gone. If you don't like cats/dogs, that's fine. But when you are just nasty about it, then you cross a line. Yep, if this is how he is when he thinks Opie isn't there and is his regular mood, I dread to think how he is in a bad mood. Next story. Am I the a-hole for implying that my wife is the cookie monster? My wife and I have a 5-year-old daughter, Ellie. Ellie loves cookies and takes it very seriously when her cookies go missing. My wife is also pregnant with twins and sometimes loses track of how many cookies she eats. Last night, my wife came to me and said she ate the rest of the cookies. I said no problem and that we'll go to the store today for more. Ellie went to the kitchen for a snack and looked into the cookie jar to find it empty. She ran to me and said that we had an emergency. The cookies were missing. I helped her look for them, but after a few minutes, she realized they were really gone. I told her the cookie monster must have snuck in while sleeping and stolen the cookies. Needless to say, she's very mad at the cookie monster right now. I took her to Target, and when we were buying cookies, she said we need to get another package to hide in the pantry in case the cookie monster came back. I said that was a good idea, and we left with our replacement cookies and our emergency cookies. When we got home, my wife pulled me aside and said that I shouldn't have said the cookie monster stole the cookies when I knew she did it, and that I'm implying that she's the cookie monster. I didn't think it was a big deal, but she seemed pretty hurt, so I wanted to know if I was the a-hole. Edit. The cookie monster left a card for Ellie apologizing for eating all of the cookies without asking, and left her a cookie monster stuffed animal. The only downside is, the card and stuffed animal were surrounded by cookie crumbs, and it looks like there's a missing cookie from the jar. Now for the comments. I love how wholesome this is. Not an a-hole. Your wife is pregnant, so she's extra sensitive, which is totally normal. I hope your daughter will forgive the actual cookie monster eventually. He was my favorite when I was a kid. I have a feeling he's gonna sneak in again tonight and leave an I'm sorry for stealing your cookies card. She should be fine once she gets an apology. You're the best. One day you and your wife will enjoy laughing about this. Until then, keep doing everything you're doing because you seem to have found a perfect ways to support your pregnant wife. He may leave her a cookie or a cookie monster stuffy with her card, but he is not sure yet. Either way, this is gonna be an awesome story for the kids at the school tomorrow. No a-holes here. 5-year-olds can overreact and can get very upset over tiny things. She's clearly ticked at the cookie monster. I can also see your wife being upset or even embarrassed about being the cookie monster. Though it'd be a lot more embarrassing if your daughter had said, I need to hide the cookies or else mommy will eat all of them. Having her be mad at the cookie monster keeps her from being mad at her mom. So nobody has done anything wrong, except the Cookie Monster. Not today, Hall. It was a joke. And I bet your wife is hormonal due to being pregnant, so is more sensitive and more prone to eating more food. Don't mention it again and it'll blow over. I'm not mentioning it, but Ellie's not over it yet. She can hold a grudge when it comes to her cookies. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole? My boyfriend inherited $1 million, and I want him to pay more towards the household. My boyfriend inherited $1 million early last year, both cash and investments. We would both rather have his mom back, but that's not possible. Over the past 10 years, my boyfriend has been unemployed many times. We agreed that due to his money issues, he would pay 1/3 of his take-home pay to rent/utilities. Until this past year, he also used my car when he needed. He would buy groceries, but I paid for most things. Now he has money. I've asked him to pay more in rent. His equal share would be $650 more than what he pays. When I brought it up, he suggested an extra $250, still leaving me to cover $400 more than him. This hurt my feelings, and we had a fight. He recently complained that he was the only one going to Costco, and that he shouldn't have to purchase so much. But he has made some small purchases for himself lately. Speakers, collectible skates, and snowboards. His wording is, I can't afford to do blank. But I'm not asking for anything more than household expenses. And I know he can afford to do more, and it hurts that he doesn't think he needs to. I suggested he look at what it would cost for him to live on his own, and it would be about 5 times what he is currently paying, all in with all our utilities and such. I think he is subsidizing his lifestyle at my expense, and he doesn't think he needs to contribute money because I don't need it. I'm not saving money, and really would like to have something for retirement. I said that if he doesn't want to pay his share, then he should have his own place. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. Kick him out. He'll start paying his own way real quick. You think he is using you to subsidize your lifestyle? Oh no, Opie. He is using you. He's a freeloading, greedy cheapskate. Put him and his $1 million on the curb and go live your best life. 10 years? Ages? Tell him to put up or shut up. Not the a-hole. That is what makes it just so egregious. I know a lot of people feel inheritance should be theirs and not something put into a family account. But when I was in a similar situation recently, I used the money to help my family out as a whole, as I know my wife would do the same. During our lives, our earning power has varied dramatically, and we always just pooled our income and paid off bills and rent, etc., without making exact amounts. That is, we did what we could to cover costs and never nickeled and dimed. And this was after 2 years, not 10 years.